Frick you. It is past midnight. I want to go to bed. Mother dearest, at the end of August, I made a plan for myself and intend to stick with it, despite how much I've wanted to change the terms. You see, I have this lifelong, life-ruining habit of not sticking through any of my commitments. And the only way to weed out such a deep-rooted habit is to start by facing the consequences of my own decisions. Making an exception here is what'll keep me trapped in the cycle forever. The plan began when a highly anticipated game called Hollow Knight Silksong was about to release, and I decided I would use it for immediate motivation. To get my habits in order, I made it a reward for completing a list of tasks that I would design to get me back on my feet. The bulk of that list ended up being just to help me build a habit of making these YouTube videos. And I know that sounds like more procrastinating, I know, but there's an important thing to know about the nature of these videos. In my videos, I scrutinize every aspect of myself that makes me feel weak or lesser in any way, and I try to fix it. My goal with most of my videos is to resolve a certain insecurity, and I resolve it by trying out behavioral habits or thinking through my problem, and then I share the results. In working on the YouTube channel, I'm working on my character by targeting another weakness of mine. Actually putting my ideas into practice, or even just thinking them through all the way. The idea for these videos is ultimately a response to the dead end trap. The last time I worked, I eventually kind of mentally burned out, and I started to panic because I realized that I don't have the energy to think about my future anymore. I'm stuck on whatever path I happen to be on. It just became really hard to think straight. As a teenager, I remember being told by a few adults in my life not to worry about the future because everything would work itself out. This advice was wrong and bad, and I was right to receive no solace from it. I have learned that if I can't envision a destination to the path that I'm on, it doesn't lead anywhere. It doesn't work itself out. I've come to accept as a fact of my own psychology that I must frequently, consciously reset myself on an ever-evolving path. But having to reinvent the wheel constantly is mentally draining. It's exhausting. And I sense that the cycle of constant manual resetting in and of itself is a dead end. If I want to have a chance at making it through this phase of my life, I need to come up with a system that naturally self-corrects to ease the burden of having to come up with band-aid solutions all the time to keep myself afloat. I need to know how to swim before jumping into the ocean, expecting to clasp on to whatever debris happens to float around. The YouTube channel is my best attempt at this system. It's a consistent process that challenges me to put my thoughts in order completely enough to be able to present to a person outside of myself. With all that said, simply telling me to get a job is never going to work. It will never help. I just drank all my drink. This is a prop now. Parents all over the world and across time have repeatedly used this approach, despite the fact that it nearly never works. Fundamentally, you're trying to solve a problem by creating a bigger problem. But my issue is not a lack of problems, and you'd be hard-pressed to come up with a problem that's motivating because it's bigger than the problems that I already have. My issue is that I need better habits and a knowledge base to protect me, and you're never going to fulfill those requirements by doing what you're doing. I need time to prepare myself, and after that, I'll need guidance. I definitely do not need you in my ear talking down to me, because instead of producing the desired effect, repeatedly telling me off comes with negative side effects. Sometimes I just kind of shrug it off and ignore it. Other times it makes me upset, which makes it harder to do the things that I need to do, not easier. It also shouldn't surprise you that I don't like being around you when you are using every innocent conversation as a trap. It damages our relationship. And Dad did the same thing. When he was still with us, God rest his soul. This is an inside joke. My father is very alive. I always thought twice before speaking to him. I knew that any attempt to talk to my dad would ultimately result in the most condescending scolding possible for doing anything at all that didn't make money, as if to suggest that there were no inherent meaning to me as a human being. I don't like being around people who tear me down, and I don't like being around people who reduce me to a mere employment status. I've been felt this way, and I've had my list of tasks for the past month, yet I haven't communicated much of it until now because I just haven't been thinking clearly. For a few months, I've been completely avoiding the conversation because my thoughts were too jumbled to give you any answers or even really engage in any meaningful way. Due to the previously mentioned dead end experience, I knew that I needed to change something before I started to go to work again. There was a fear that was instilled in me. Over time, I seemed to have lost touch with the purpose of those fears, which were designed to protect me. It was those anxieties that were hazy, and I needed time to reprocess them. That brain fog also worsened, especially when you started to interrogate me every day, multiple times a day. The more I got attacked by hollow questioning, the more defensive and muddled my thoughts started to be. However, the fog has mostly cleared as of this past month. It's just that I've already made a concrete plan to guide me into the process of getting a job. I knew I wanted to write this paper to deliver you my thoughts properly because I've already made some mistakes in communication. I want you to understand what's been going on in my head all this time, but I also understand that I haven't been handling all this correctly myself. My understanding is that you're stressed because we need more financial security right now, and you need to help me move forward but don't know how. I understand that feeling because I didn't know how to move me forward either. Turns out I just needed some time to get me going. I kept ignoring you because I felt like I didn't even have the tools to ask myself what the problem was. That wasn't fair to you, but I didn't know where to start or what to do with myself. I've also said that I was or would be ready to start applying when I shouldn't have. I just didn't know what I needed yet, and once I did start to figure it out, I felt pressured to give you some kind of answer, even though the answer wasn't fully formed yet. Our conversations surrounding getting a job have also gotten less healthy and productive. To be honest with you, this whole script is getting kind of dated because you haven't really brought it up lately. God bless your poor soul. I know you're running out of steam. Anyway, I intend to fix the conversation from this point forward. This paper marks the fixing point. My life has been much more structured since this past month, and I can confidently say that I have learned, I've grown, and even accomplished quite a bit in that time as a result. I need a system to catch me because I know that I am at high risk of stumbling back to square one when anything goes wrong. I know that because it's happened too many times, and I need to do whatever I can to make sure that it doesn't happen anymore. But now that I'm building those systems, I know what I need, and I'm ready to talk to you about it. As the title suggests, I wrote all of that for my mom. But now, I'm letting you in on my experience because it might be time for you to ask yourself, what do I need to move forward with my life? And am I waiting for something to randomly happen, or is it time to make an effort to give myself what I need to move forward? Not so deep down, I knew that I was procrastinating out of fear all along, but I probably could have overcome that fear a lot sooner if only I had asked the fear what it was trying to protect me from. Once I knew that, I was able to feed it what it needed to grow and blossom into peace. I have been very picky about the types of jobs that I'm willing to work, but I think it's time to grow up and take whatever I can get, because it's fear that makes me picky too, isn't it? Instead of only trying to protect myself from what I fear, it's time to grow up and make an effort to understand why I fear so that I can face it. You have to do things that are scary. It's unavoidable. But that doesn't mean you have to go in completely raw all the time. Fear is simply a tool that our bodies use to tell us that something's wrong. All we need to do is shut up and listen to what it has to say. And then recognize that the fear has served its purpose. It may not go away, but it is just a feeling after all. And feelings become a lot more manageable when you can take a step outside of yourself and see them for what they are. Thanks for watching. Share this with whoever it might help, and go ask your fears what they need from you. Like right now, today. You both deserve and owe it to yourself. Anyway, I fear not going to bed early enough. Good night.